G'day. I've just bought a camcorder from Maya. You know, producing videos is not new to me, because I do it a lot, professionally. But there are important differences when it comes to making home videos. For a start, you're it. The director, the sound and lighting department, all rolled into one. But you don't have to have a trained crew to back you up, or heaps of lights, or rooms full of expensive editing or sound equipment. The basic techniques are still the same, no matter what type of camera or camcorder you're using, or whether you're using 8mm or VHS-C format. And I'd like to pass on a few tips that I picked up along the way. First and most important tip, make sure you know the owner's manual, inside out, so you're totally familiar with all the functions. And then practice, practice and practice until the technical side becomes second nature to you. And then you can start to worry more about the creative aspects. Getting the creative and technical areas working together is what this program is all about. Now, as we go along, I'll point out a few useful accessories, all of which are readily available from Maya. There are some things you should arm yourself with straight away. Firstly, a camera bag. It'll help keep everything together and protect what is a fairly expensive investment. Secondly, pick up at least one extra battery and keep them all charged so your camcorder doesn't run out of puff just when the bride says, "I do." Thirdly, tape. Purchase a well-known brand from a reputable dealer, such as Maya, and get the highest grade you can afford. It's false economy to try and save a few dollars on tape when you may have spent thousands on equipment. Okay, so you've got your basic setup. So where do we start? Well, there's a home video playing here. Let's see if we can spot a few of the do's and don'ts.
Oh. Oh, what are you doing? Don't come too close.
Well, this video's not the best. I think he could do with a few tips on his technique. In fact, I might take this along, just in case. Excuse me, mate. Over here. I'm out of focus.
What am I doing wrong?
Well, is it on manual focus?
Yes.
Right, now zoom in on me. That's it. Okay, now focus it. All right, now zoom out until you get the shot that you're after. Now that way your subject remains in focus for the entire range of your zoom. All right, now switch it over to autofocus. Yeah, now you've got to be very careful with the autofocus because it will always focus on whatever is in the centre of the frame. Now right now I'm in focus because I'm in the centre, but look what happens when I move to the side of the picture. Now you see, it's refocusing on the background. So if your subject's going to be on the side of the picture, you've got to use the manual focus.
How do I know how much of this picture will be in focus?
Well, that comes under the heading of depth of field. Now your depth of field is the distance between the nearest and the farthest objects that are in focus. How much in focus will change as you zoom in and out.
Well, how do I get my depth of field?
Well, let me show you. Depth of field is greatest at the wide-angle end of the zoom, which is what we're on now. See how your wife and the plants are in focus. But notice, as I zoom in, the plants go out of focus. So, you can use your depth of field to your advantage. For example, if the background was ugly, you may be able to create a shot where you use the telephoto end of the zoom to make it go out of focus.
How do I stop this jerky motion?
Well, for a start, you can minimise any unsteady shots by simply zooming out and then moving the whole camera closer to the subject. Keeping steady has also got a lot to do with the way you position yourself. You can brace yourself against something solid, or you can sit down, either cross-legged or with your legs apart for increased balance. You can also brace the camcorder itself by placing it on a firm surface, such as a fence or a chair, or you can make yourself into a human tripod. Stand slightly pigeon-toed, with your legs about shoulder-width apart and your knees slightly bent. Keep your elbows into your body and use your free hand to help support the camcorder. Then, hold your breath. It looks like hard work. There is an easier way. You can use a real tripod. It's a very useful accessory. Now, these days they're very light and very easy to carry around. But make sure it's a video tripod and not just a tripod for a still camera. A video tripod is specially designed with what's called fluid head motion, which means your camera can move smoothly from side to side and up and down. And one more thing before you get ready to shoot. Always make sure that your horizon lines are straight.
Hey, this zoom is good.
Yes, but don't overdo it. Make sure you've got a good reason for using it. Zooming in is a smooth way of increasing the details, while zooming out can reveal something extra about the setting your subject is in. All right. Now, there may be occasions when you want to get closer than the normal lens will allow. If you can't move the camera physically closer to the subject, a telephoto lens can really come in handy. Let's have a look. Then, on other occasions, you may wish to shoot a very small object. This is where a macro lens would come into its own. Now, something you could never ignore is lighting. Never shoot into the sun, because firstly, the camcorder could be damaged, and secondly, the subject won't be illuminated properly. So always shoot with the sun behind you, or at least at a 45-degree angle to your subject. But if you are faced with a really bright sunny day, you might wish to use a neutral density filter. I've got one here. Now, what this will do, this will reduce the amount of light going into the camera and help it to reproduce colours more accurately.
Oh, like a pair of sunglasses.
Yeah, something like that, yes. Other filters can also be used to enhance certain colours or to create special effects. Good stuff, mate. And you're looking good too. Now, before we look at artificial lighting, let's go over those first few tips again. Firstly, obtain a camera bag, a spare battery, and good quality tape. On manual focus, zoom right in before you focus. And on autofocus, place your subject in the centre of the shot. Your greatest depth of field is at the wide angle end of your zoom. Eliminate jerky camera movements by adopting the correct stance yourself or by using a tripod. And keep the horizon line straight. Don't overuse your zoom, and when full zoom doesn't get you close enough, a telephoto or macro lens might. Don't shoot into the sun, and where appropriate, use filters to enhance the picture. When you're shooting outdoors, there's usually enough light, but shooting indoors brings new lighting challenges. Let's see how this family's coping with our light conditions.
Birthday to Chelsea.
A baby and a camcorder. I wonder which one they're having the most trouble with. Well, the kid's doing all right, but it seems Dad is having a bit of trouble with the light. Not enough natural light for a good picture, and yet when they turn on the camera light, it gives a very harsh, cold look.
So what's the alternative?
Indirect lighting. Let me show you. Well, you can get a more even light by bouncing it off the ceiling. And where possible, try and use more than one source of light.
But we've only got the one light.
Ah, no. There's other light at your disposal. So, now that we've got Chelsea close to the window here, we can use this light source to light this side of her face over here. All right, now we can also reflect that light into a piece of white cardboard like this, okay? We can use that to fill in the shadows on this side of her face. That means that we're now free to use an artificial light like this one up here, up higher than her, to highlight the back of her hair, all right? And that makes her stand out even more from the background. So remember, always try and use 2 or 3 light sources if possible.
Right. Well, we've got the light right now, but what's the best way to pick up the sounds that she's making?
All right. Well, to answer that, I need to explain a little bit about microphones. Right, this one here, this is a built-in microphone. The built-in mic picks up sound from all directions. The slightest distracting noise will end up on the tape. So if you're using the built-in mic, you must minimise unnecessary noises.
Well, is there another way to go?
Certainly, the external mic. An external microphone picks up from one direction only, and as it has its own lead, you can place it very close to the subject.
Okay. How about some more of the creative areas like angles and composition?
Oh, great, and of course changing angles can make your video a lot more interesting. Have a look. Now, when you're choosing your angle, be very aware of foreground objects. Lots of times they can be distracting and draw your attention away from what you're supposed to be looking at. Let's consider camera height in relation to your subject. Now, a low camera angle will emphasise height and make your subject look larger than life. Very effective in creating the illusion of power. It also lets us look at things from the baby's point of view. A high angle creates the opposite effect. Your subject looks smaller and may appear to have less importance. But most of the time, it's best to videotape your subject at their eye level. Now, there are a few things to consider regarding composition. Picture composition is basically the arrangement of your main subject, your foreground, and your background. You should try to eliminate any distractions. For example, there's an indoor plant that seems to be growing out of your wife's head. By simply changing your position or your subject's position, you eliminate the tree and create a better composition. And another tip, don't leave a lot of unnecessary space around your subject. Move in a little bit closer and fill the frame. And don't leave a lot of space on top of your subject's head unless there's a good reason for it.
Great. Well, thanks for your help. It's fantastic. Like to nurse Chelsea for a minute? Before you
Sure,
go?
of course I would, yeah.
There you go.
There you go, Chelsea. We know all about it now, don't we? Yeah. So, what did we pick up there? Lighting problems may be helped through indirect lighting, or by using more than one light source. Choose the right microphone. Your built-in microphone picks up sound from every direction, whereas a unidirectional microphone is far more selective. Different angles add interest, but mostly shoot at eye level. When composing your picture, avoid distractions and eliminate excess space around your subject. Okay, we now know how to set up a shot so that it looks good and sounds good. But how do we put them together to create an interesting story? How do we turn a simple record of an event into something that is dramatic or humorous and above all watchable? Something that people will enjoy. Oh, what's this? The Newton's Day at the Zoo. That's good. I've done an opening title. But after that, there's just a few shots of animals. It doesn't really tell us much about how they enjoyed it. Tell you what, let's give them another chance. G'day, Mr. Newton. Mr. Newton.
Call me Frank.
G'day, Frank. Now, Little Bird told me that you could do with a few tips on how to use your camcorder here to tell a good story.
You mean without editing it together afterwards?
That's right. Well, I assume you haven't got access to editing equipment.
No.
It doesn't matter, because you can do in-camera editing. And that simply means that you must plan the type and order of each shot well in advance before you shoot. That way you end up with a movie that tells a good story. Now, your audience is just as interested in seeing your kids' reactions as they are in seeing the animals themselves. In fact, reactions are a major part of telling a story because they show emotion, which is what the video camera does very well. A good rule of thumb is to start off with a wide shot to show where you are and who's involved in the main action. This wide shot is often called the establishing shot.
Okay, Dad, got the map now. Which way should we go?
Right, let me see.
The medium shot
I think we should
helps
go
your audience
that
get to
way.
know your subject a little better.
Hang on a minute. Just a minute. Hang on. That way.
That way. Over that way.
And
Are we going to
in the
see-
close-up shot, you can really show the expressions on their faces. You might also record the kids' comments. Their excitement will rub off on the audience.
Well, I can't wait to see the monkeys.
Neither can Dad. He misses his relatives. Come on, let's go.
All right.
With good planning, you'll know when to expect to get a good shot of the animals, say at feeding times.
Experiments runs back.
Oh, no.
Have a look at that one.
The little one. beautiful light.
Well, what do I do now? Because that last shot of the chimpanzee was hopeless.
Well, just get rid of it. Simply record over the bad shot with a good one. All right, so go to it. Now, try using a variety of shots and angles to show us just what the kids saw and how they felt about it. And make sure there's some action in each of your shots. You know, that will really help to make your videos more interesting.
Would too.
Come on, Dad.
Yep. Here I come. See how an establishing shot quickly shows us where the kids are now. How the low angle gives the giraffes more power. And how the close-up captures the children's reactions.
Be able to fit a baby one in your house, Rachel.
Tall, aren't they? Gosh, look at his neck.
Oh, and by the way, a great reaction shot is a fantastic way to finish a story.
Thanks for the t-shirts, Dad.
Thanks, Dad. But they didn't have one in your size.
So we got one instead. Our day at the zoo.
Okay, so let's go over those main storytelling points again. In-camera editing requires thorough planning. Vary your shots between wide, medium and close-up to establish the scene and then add detail. And capture emotions with reaction shots, which are good to use to finish a story. So, what's the best way for me to finish my story? Not so much with my reaction, but with your reaction. And I want your reaction to be one of enthusiasm. Turn the TV off and turn your camcorder on. Practice each of the things we've discussed and you'll be amazed at how professional your videos will begin to look. And remember, Maya is always here to serve all your video requirements. They're specialists in a full range of camcorders and accessories, and they're backed up with friendly, professional advice. And the most important advice of all is to have fun.
With over 6 billion particles of color every square millimeter, this is the new generation BASF videotape.
It's magic!